Welcome to this episode of Latodio, Book in Minutes, Insights for Life. Today, we're discussing a truly inspiring book, Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert. If you've ever felt a spark of creativity but found yourself held back by fear, doubt, or the pressure to be good enough, this book has something for you. Gilbert's message is powerful and so relevant for today's world, where many of us are looking for ways to bring more passion and meaning into our lives, whether in our work, hobbies, or personal growth. Big Magic explores the magic of creativity and how we can all tap into it, whether you're a painter, a writer, a business owner, or just someone wanting to live with a little more spark and courage. Elizabeth Gilbert's ideas don't just apply to artists in the traditional sense, they're for anyone who wants to find joy, purpose, and fulfillment in their day-to-day life. In this episode, we'll explore her thought-provoking insights, practical lessons, and gentle but empowering advice. Gilbert's approach isn't about creating for perfection or fame but about embracing the creative spirit as a way to add depth and happiness to your life. By the end, you might just feel inspired to take that next step, whether it's starting a new project, tackling a long-held dream, or simply allowing yourself to be more open to the magic around you. So, let's dive in and discover how Big Magic can change the way you see creativity, courage, and yourself. In Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear, Elizabeth Gilbert, the best-selling author of Eat, Pray, Love, delves into the heart of creativity and what it means to live a life driven by curiosity rather than fear. Gilbert's journey with creativity has taught her that the creative process is a mystical dance, a blend of inspiration, courage, and resilience that anyone can tap into. With wit, warmth, and wisdom, she shares insights on how to overcome the self-doubt and perfectionism that often hold us back, illuminating a path to a more fulfilling, creative life. At its core, Big Magic explores 6 key themes: courage, enchantment, permission, persistence, trust, and divinity. Through these themes, Gilbert encourages readers to embrace the magic of inspiration, challenging the notion that creativity is reserved for the elite few. She views creative ideas as fleeting, almost sentient forces that seek collaboration with us, reminding us of our innate right to create. Her work speaks to anyone who has felt the pang of fear around sharing their creativity with the world or who has struggled with the concept of worthiness in artistic pursuits. Written in response to years of questions from fans and fellow creatives, Big Magic serves as both a guide and a companion for artists, writers, and dreamers who want to explore their creative potential without the baggage of fear. Its impact has been profound, inspiring countless readers to embark on their own creative journeys, find joy in the process, and live a life brimming with curiosity. In Big Magic, Gilbert ultimately empowers readers to find liberation in their creative expression, viewing it not as a profession but as a lifestyle and a way to bring more beauty and richness to the world. Part 1: Courage. Gilbert starts by tackling the big obstacle most of us face: fear. She believes that fear is a natural companion of creativity, not something to eliminate but to manage. She even imagines fear as a backseat passenger in a car she's driving, always present but never allowed to touch the steering wheel. Her message here is clear: if we wait until we're no longer afraid, we'll never create. Fear is inevitable, but it shouldn't be the driver of our creative decisions. One great story she shares is about how she almost gave up on writing after her first novel didn't succeed. But then she realized that writing was the thing she was willing to suffer for, the thing that she loved too much to quit. This realization empowered her to go on, despite the fear of failure or judgment. Her takeaway? Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the commitment to do your creative work despite fear. Part 2: Enchantment. Here, Gilbert introduces the concept of big magic, those moments of inspiration that seem to come from outside ourselves. She believes ideas are almost like living beings, floating around in search of collaborators. This idea might sound whimsical, but she illustrates it with a fascinating story about a book idea she lost because she didn't start working on it quickly enough. Later, she discovered that another writer, and Patchett, had written a novel eerily similar to the one she'd imagined, almost as if the idea had moved on to find someone else. The main lesson here is that we don't need to chase inspiration. Instead, we should stay open and receptive, trusting that the right ideas will find us. And when they do, it's our responsibility to honor them by taking action. Part 3: Permission. In this section, Gilbert encourages us to let go of the need for external validation and grant ourselves permission to create. She argues that we don't need anyone's approval to be creative, nor do we have to prove our worthiness. Gilbert dismisses the notion of being a tortured artist or waiting for permission from the gatekeepers of creativity. She insists that creativity is a basic human instinct, accessible to everyone. She tells a memorable story of how she pursued a creative career without waiting for anyone to tell her she was good enough. And the main takeaway? You have the right to create simply because you want to. You don't need a license, a fancy degree, or anyone else's approval. Part 4: Persistence. In Persistence, Gilbert dives into the hard work of creativity, showing up day after day, regardless of the obstacles. She's refreshingly honest about how difficult it can be, but she also believes that the only way to succeed is to keep going, no matter what. One of her examples is her own journey as a writer, which was filled with rejection after rejection before she finally published Eat, Pray, Love. She also shares a useful concept: stubborn gladness. This is the idea of approaching creative work with joy, even when it's challenging. Gilbert's takeaway is simple but powerful: to make anything worthwhile, you have to keep showing up, stay curious, and find happiness in the process itself. Part 5: Trust. Gilbert challenges us to trust in our creativity instead of expecting it to give us something specific, like fame or money. She sees creativity as inherently worthwhile, something that enriches our lives whether or not it brings us external rewards. Gilbert tells a story about a man who took up figure skating in his 40s just because he loved it, with no plans of going pro or impressing anyone. She believes this is the ultimate way to approach creative work, with a sense of play and joy. Her key message? Don't pressure your creativity to perform for you. Trust that the act of creating, in itself, is valuable, and let go of the need for outcomes. Part 6: Divinity. In the final part, Gilbert brings it all together by exploring the spiritual aspect of creativity. She believes that creativity connects us to something greater than ourselves, a sense of wonder, mystery, and divinity. Gilbert describes creativity as an act of reverence, a way to commune with something beyond human understanding. She's not rigid about what this something is but encourages us to see our creativity as part of a larger, universal experience. One example she uses is her reverence for writing. She treats it almost like a sacred ritual, not because it's holy in itself, but because it connects her to a sense of wonder. Her closing thought is inspiring: creativity isn't just a pastime, it's an essential, almost divine part of being human. Embrace it, honor it, and let it bring more beauty into your life. Final thoughts. So, Big Magic is essentially Gilbert's love letter to creativity. Through stories, insights, and a little mysticism, she makes a compelling case for why everyone should embrace their creative instincts, whether they want to paint, write, cook, or do anything that brings joy and fulfillment. She doesn't sugarcoat the challenges, but she offers a fresh, joyful perspective on how we can all live more creatively. Here are the main takeaways from Big Magic. 1. Fear is a companion, not an enemy. Gilbert makes this great point: fear will always be there when you're creating something new, it's just a natural response. But she suggests we shouldn't aim to get rid of it, instead, learn to live with it. Picture fear as a backseat passenger in a road trip with creativity. It can be there, but it doesn't get to choose the music or control the GPS. This is so freeing. It means that when we feel scared to start a new project or share our work, we don't have to stop. Instead, we acknowledge the fear and keep going. 2. Ideas are like visitors, welcome them. Gilbert's view on ideas is fascinating. She says they're almost like beings looking for someone to bring them to life. If you're open, an idea might visit you, but if you don't work on it, it might find someone else who will. She has this wild story about a book idea she didn't pursue that later got picked up, nearly identically, by another author. The lesson here? Be open and receptive to ideas, and when they come, try to act on them. It's like being a good host for a guest. Don't leave your ideas hanging. 3. You don't need permission to be creative. A lot of people, especially those new to creative work, feel they need to earn the right to create, as if only real artists deserve it. Gilbert flips this idea around. She believes creativity is a fundamental human trait, so we're all entitled to it. You don't need a degree, a title, or anyone's approval to start creating. So if you've ever felt like an imposter in your creative pursuits, remember, Gilbert says to claim your creativity as your own, without needing validation from anyone else. 4. Approach creativity with stubborn gladness. Gilbert has this thing she calls stubborn gladness. It's the commitment to keep creating even when it's tough, because you love it. She's honest about the fact that creative work can be frustrating and difficult. But she says that if you're willing to do it with joy, even when there's no reward, you'll be a happier, more resilient creator. So, find joy in the act of creating itself, not in the outcome. Like, if you're painting or writing, remember why you love it, even if you're struggling. This stubborn gladness keeps you going when things get rough. 5. Trust creativity, don't demand from it. One of Gilbert's big points is to approach creativity as a joyful, playful thing rather than putting pressure on it to deliver rewards, like fame or income. She uses this charming story of a man who, just for fun, took up figure skating in his 40s with zero plans of going pro. He did it purely because he loved it. The idea here is simple: create because it enriches your life, not because you're expecting it to pay off. When you drop the expectations, you'll enjoy your creativity more and keep doing it for the right reasons. 6. Persistence is key. Gilbert is all about the grind, showing up day after day even when inspiration is nowhere to be found. She talks about how persistence was what helped her get published after countless rejections. Her advice? Don't wait for motivation or inspiration. Just keep showing up, putting in the work, and something good will come from it eventually. It's a great reminder that success in creative pursuits often comes from just sticking with it. You don't have to be on fire every day, you just have to keep going. 7. Creativity is sacred, but don't take it too seriously. Finally, Gilbert treats creativity as something almost spiritual, but she doesn't let it weigh her down with pressure. She calls it sacred, yet she also encourages having a sense of humor about it. Don't let the importance of your work make you so anxious that you can't enjoy it. Think of it this way: creativity is this amazing gift, and it connects us to something bigger, but it doesn't mean every piece has to be perfect or profound. Have fun with it, and let the process be fulfilling without expecting every work to be a masterpiece. In conclusion, Big Magic is full of these encouraging, practical takeaways. Gilbert's main message? Creativity is something we all have a right to. We shouldn't wait until we're fearless, skilled, or validated by others to start. Just embrace your creativity as it is, let go of the pressures, and make space for joy in the process. Thanks for tuning in to Litodio. If you enjoyed this summary and want to keep expanding your reading list with quick, engaging insights, be sure to hit that follow button, subscribe, and share with friends who love books as much as you do. We'd love to hear what you thought of today's episode, so feel free to leave a comment. We'll link to the book in the description. Until next time, stay curious.